So I want to do some videos on building on the work of other YouTube channels. And of course, I cannot pass up the opportunity to talk about Dave J. Originally, it was Dave Johnson. The channel that Dave hosts is Dave J, small case letters, and no space between Dave and the last letter J. Now, many years ago, maybe 6, 7 years ago, I stumbled upon Dave's channel. And when I first watched Dave's videos, I thought they were very peculiar. But yet, I knew there was something about them that made them valid. And in my mind, I tried to reconcile this cognitive dissonance that Dave's videos seemed almost in a sense insane, but yet in another sense they made sense. And so I was drawn in to watch more and more and more of this one who went by Dave Johnson, or we know him now as Dave J. So I opened up a notebook and I began to study under Dave J. Now, I'm not sure Dave was aware that I was even out there, and I'm not sure Dave was aware I opened up a notebook and decided to take notes. So this is my original notebook that I began so that I could analyze the videos of Dave J and see what was going on in this crazy world. So I'm going to just take you down some memory lane here of my notebook. Sorry, I'm a little clumsy, if you haven't noticed. So this one, I believe, was looked at the Bruno Hauptmann execution for the Limburg baby and what a hoax that was. Then, of course, the the Limburg baby, and then Dave mentioned the double Zion, the 2 sevens, how they come together. And then incidentally, if you put 4 sevens together, that gives you your swastika. You might say like a quadruple Zion. Okay, the Spirit of St. Louis, and really you have Lindbergh playing Amelie Earhart. So they were basically the same. Now this is my early life learning about the hoax-lie system. And so you're looking at my notes of when I'm starting to quote, "wake up." Dave did a video on the 6-day non-war. Nobody died, nobody was hurt, Dave's famous line. And then he included the USS Liberty hoax, the ship that was spying on the war, the 1967 war, which was another hoax, the spy ship Liberty. The one-eyed symbolism, okay, the date it ended, 6/11, which is really 9/11. When they say that torpedo, that man, that's kind of like stage talk for something that didn't really happen, but it's happening in the play. Okay, these are just notes that I have of Dave's videos. And Dave had worked in the U.S. Navy and knows that a torpedo doesn't punch a hole in a ship and creates decapitation by the explosion nearby, by proximity. It gets close and explodes but doesn't punch holes. So when they're showing holes in a ship, Dave knows that's a lie because of his experience in U.S. Navy working with torpedoes. Then Dave will take on Jaran-ism, and ism creates a following, cults. The letter G. Okay, and I'm just going to sort of browse through my notes because I don't want to bore you with everything that's in here. But basically, what I'm saying in this video is, without the work of Dave J. or Dave Johnson, I would not be making videos. I can only make videos because Dave and his excellent work took me out of the hoax-lie system and gave me information on how the hoax-lie system works. And that was the major difference between Dave's channel and all the other channels. A few of the channels will show you the hoaxes, but they don't explain to you why the hoaxes work. And of course, I had no idea, zero idea, of how or why these hoaxes work. And I'm still baffled, to be quite honest with you. And I still don't understand everything about it. In fact, you might say I understand very little. But I know it was a system that was created by the devil, which means you have to be in the know or the club. Now, they call those mystery religions because you have to be initiated into them. Once again, I'm just showing you my notebook here, Dave J, that I started several years ago, and I studied under Dave, and Dave was not aware that someone out there was taking notes on what he was saying. Now, once again, as you're looking at my notes, I was strangely drawn in to Dave's work. And I was facing a sort of a paradox in that Dave as a whole seemed very peculiar. And maybe folks would want to designate him as crazy. And I thought, well, that's okay if I have to get designated crazy. That's no problem. Maybe Dave would have another friend out there who's crazy like him. And I began to see that whatever Dave taught was absolutely true. And Dave would tell you over and over again in his videos, he would tell you, go ahead and test this for yourself. Now that's the difference between just someone who's a little bit knowledgeable and can expose hoaxes and those who really understand the dynamics of the hoax-lie system. And those dynamics are not easy to pick up on. I'll be honest with you. Because it's all peculiar. It's all strange. It's all foreign to the mind. And once again, the ones who run this system are in the know. They have gnosis, knowledge. They have knowledge of the hoax-lie system. And that's why they use the number 7 a lot. Because the number 7 has great power. Now maybe it has great power because God created the world in 7 days. And the devil mimics the acts of God. And the devil, in a sense, copies everything that God has done and does, but perverts it and uses it for evil purposes. So you're just basically looking at my notes of my notebook with Dave Johnson and his many videos that once upon a time were out there. I tried to recover some of these and include them online for you. And the channel is called Dave J. Said So. I operate that channel. A lot of Dave's works are on there, but I will tell you this too, that some of my works are intermixed with Dave's works. So I don't want you to confuse my works with Dave's works. Now on a few of the videos, I will take something Dave said or did and try to build on it. So the one that I highly recommend on that channel, that Dave J. Said So, is the interview Dave conducts with Jim Fetzer. Now, the interview with Jim Fetzer is a little bit of a riot in the sense that Jim meant well, and he appears to be valid in that he wants to expose hoaxes. However, Jim is an individual, it appears, it's sort of half and half. Half in the hoax-lie system and half out of it. Now, that can't be. And it's just like what Jesus said, you're either for me or against me. There's no in between. And Jesus spoke about 2 roads. He spoke about the road that is wide and leads to destruction, and he spoke about the road that is narrow and leads to life. Now that was a great one too, where Dave will show you Archduke Ferdinand was Theodore Herzl, the father of modern Zionism. By Zionism we mean political, get a homeland for the Jewish nation that was scattered, which is all false, by the way. The current Israel is false. Israel was scattered and gone, and it has not reemerged. Everything you see over there is phony. By that I mean the government and all that they say and do. I'm not necessarily saying the lands and the sites, although there are some people that believe that even the Holy Lands are a hoax, and I'm not sure of that, but there are some out there that will go in that direction. Now that's the one where Dave took the $2 bill and folded it in such a way and showed you the demons embedded. By the way, I have several videos out where I will go to some of the major famous photographs and show you that in the major image there are minor images of demons embedded in the photograph. And Dave shows you this with the $2 bill. And basically what Dave will show you is what you call a sigil. A sigil is the attempts of a magician to create an image and then empower that image with demonic power. Now Dave is great talking about colors and tones and how it's more than just simply the words or the actual images or the actual stories, that colors and tones fit into this. Again, back to the two poles that exist, the two pillars. And again, that's just sort of the idea of dualism. And dualism is the basis of all what are called mystery cults. The occult, the mystery cults, dualism. Again, these are just notes on a lot of Dave's videos, just to show you that I went to school and my professor was Dave J. or Dave Johnson. And Dave, if you're listening to this, this is definitely an appreciation video too for you. Now, I would have no videos out there, none, zero, were it not for Dave. So Dave got me out of the hoax lie system, and his channel is not as strong as it was in the past in terms of numbers of videos, but all the videos that are on his current channel are absolutely worth watching. And I'll say not just watching, but take notes and study under Dave. If you want more of Dave, you can go to Dave J, all small case, no space after Dave with the letter J, and that'll take you to his channel. And also the channel that I have in Dave's honor is called Dave J Said So, and you'll find some works of Dave on that channel. Once again, I'm trying to build on the works of others and acknowledging that I couldn't do what I do were it not for individuals like Dave and others out there too, others, not just Dave. But let's build on each other's work, and let's somehow put the pieces of the puzzle together, because this puzzle is huge and it's worldwide, and anyone who can make any kind of contribution to putting this puzzle together, it is always appreciated. I appreciate you, my viewer, and once again, if you got to the end of this video, I really appreciate the fact that you watched it to the end. Thank you. This concludes the video.